Hey everyone, Joseph here with Powerful Gain Stock Options. Here to do a recap of the market activity today, market opportunities, and there were some good ones today. There were CMG, which is Chipotle, made a very strong move. Netflix, Zoom. There are quite a few stocks that moved, even though the market was choppy in the beginning of the morning. A lot of stocks turned around and made a reversal. Some just chopped around all day, like Apple and Nvidia. Nvidia, after a very strong move yesterday, up over $30 yesterday, and today it was just kind of seemed like it was profit taking and kind of a pause day. So we'll be looking at that chart today as well, and I'll go over what to look for tomorrow, tomorrow's action. But quite a few good charts today. It was definitely the market was mixed today. The technology stocks moved very well, but unfortunately the financial stocks, they just dragged on. So one key identifier that the market is gonna be up, and more stocks were going to be moving and available for opportunities, is when the financial sector and the tech sector move together, on the upside, which is not the case today. So let's take a look at some of the stocks that did move, and also review how you could have gotten in and taken advantage of some of those opportunities. And we'll also go over some of the opportunities that I took advantage of and how you could have got in. So we're looking at Zoom here. This is the 5-minute chart. Let's take a step back first to look at what is it doing on the daily. So we can see on the daily, earlier in, you can see towards the end of the year last year, it was pulling back quite a bit. Tried to test the 8 exponential moving average at the beginning of the year. This was on the 5th of January. Could not break it, so pulled back more. And then on the 12th, we saw a pretty good move here. This is kind of when the selling stopped. Notice this big green candle here, and it closed actually above the 8 exponential moving average. So the next day it opened up here, made a new high, and then pulled back and closed here, still above the prior day. And then, pulled up and then chopped around for quite a bit. So this was kind of an area where it needed to break here. And you can see that's exactly what happened recently. You can see on the 5th here, there was a strong move. So it passed this key level here, 395, and went all the way up to 418, and then just kind of hung out here for a little while until today. This is something to really key in on when you're looking at price action. You always want to look at, where does price stop? Where does it stop, and what does it do once it stops? So here we see this is the key level here that it stopped at, and basically it just chopped around. It didn't pull back further. It just kind of tested this key level quite a few times. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then finally the 8th time it broke, and then a little pause day here, and then you saw continuation here. So this was a pretty good move. You see, it was up $19 for the day, and if you look at the 5-minute chart, we can see where you could have got in. So here's the action for today. So it was kind of choppy. You see here in the morning, there's a lot of action going on. It was very choppy. Didn't do much most of the day here. But you see towards the end of the day, here's when it made the move. And this was at 11 o'clock in the morning. So these kind of stocks, I generally like to trade when the market is most liquid. usually the first hour and a half of the day. So I avoided this action. I tend not to trade this because this kind of action just tends to chop up your options and you lose premium, you lose value. It's basically not a it's not very advantageous for someone who wants to get in, get some gains, and then get out. But what you can do is, you can set alerts here. So once this is a key level here, as we looked at on the daily. Once price breaks this level, you can set up an alert. So once it breaks, you can get notified via email or, on your mobile app that this price action is taking place. Then you can kind of log in and take a look. But you see, once it closed over this key level, and once it broke over here, this level here, over this candle, that's when you get in. Okay, so you would have got in here 422, and you could have just rolled it up, keep moving your stops all the way up, and you could have taken your gain somewhere around here or at the top, or even if you pulled back here, you still would have been a sizable move, from 422 all the way up to 427. But it really depends, where you got in and where you got out. But it's the same price action. This is some good action that I generally look for in the mornings. Let's take a look at Chipotle. This is a powerful gain stock option scanner, and as we can see here, there were there's always a lot of winners that show up on this scanner because it shows the stocks that have the most momentum and the most price action. So here is Chipotle up $46. Let's take a look how we could have got in. This was another choppy one. I mentioned the. No, here it is. Okay, so here's the morning. Look, here's another key level. Nothing going on at the end of yesterday's trading session, as you can see, except at the end. You notice how volume picked up here. Notice momentum is trying to come up. So that's something to pay attention to. Generally, there's the most action and most liquidity the first hour of the day trading, but there's also a lot of action going on in the last hour of the day as well. So if you were going to enter this play or this trade, you'd want to wait for it to break this key level here first, which it did. First candle of the day, first 5-minute candle here, closed above this key level. So what I'd be waiting for is when the next candle takes out the high of that first candle that closed above this key level. Next candle didn't do it. It tried to break, it couldn't. And what happened on this guy? Closed above the prior high and on top of this key level. So here's where I would have entered, and I would just rode along this 3 EMA, the 3 exponential moving average, until it started to get close to the 8 EMA. And notice how, see some space here? I mentioned in one of my prior videos that whenever stocks tend to make a strong move and have a lot of space here, they generally tend to chop around and come back to the 8 EMA, or they tend to pull back to the 8 EMA and then either continue further or they bounce or continue higher. So you always got to be aware of what the stock is doing, what the price action is showing. So you see this is a pretty sizable move here from 15.10 all the way up to 15.29. $19 move, and then it's chopped around for quite some time. And then what did it do? You can kind of draw out here. Here's where price stopped. Price stopped here, couldn't break above here until this candle. This candle signaled that it closed above this key level here. And then here's where you would have entered again. If you got out, here's where you could have entered again, or here's where you could have bought more and taken some of your profits off the table. I want to also take a look at Netflix and Roku. Netflix was pretty strong today. Had a $11 move, but didn't start off that way. It started off. Actually, yeah, here it is. Same story. You can see here towards the end of the day, just chopping and consolidating. And then look at this monster move here today. Even though the market opened up down and was really choppy, you can see Netflix opened up positive and continued to move up higher. So you could have gotten in here at this level on this candle is kind of where I would have entered, because this one opened flat compared to the prior day. This candle took out the opening candle, which is usually a positive sign. But with Netflix, it tends to move around quite a bit, and a lot of times it fades. So I generally like to wait until the third candle with some power. So this is a very strong candle here. Took out this prior high and this prior candle, so I would have got in. And you saw the volume was green, and also momentum was starting to pick up. So I would have stayed in. Probably would have stayed in to somewhere around this level, because by that time you're 6:50 in the morning, and I generally like to get in and get out, maximize my gains and just basically avoid the chop. Because once you make a big gain, notice the space here, it's chopped around and found its way back to the ADMA, and then just kind of chopped around here on this key level of 555. And look how long it just chopped. It made another move up and then just chopped around. So here was the bulk of the move here that you want to capture, and you probably would have wanted to capture most of this. Here's where the majority of the gains came from. And overall it was up $11, but it was even up higher in the morning, as you can see here, until it pulled back and started chopping around. And last one I want to take a look at is ROKU. ROKU made a pretty strong move as well, and we can see chopped around yesterday and opened up kind of flat. Same here, kind of like Netflix, and worked its way towards this key level here of 443. Once it got to this key level, it chopped around and just continued higher, and then pulled back, and then continued to ride the 3 EMA all the way up. It was up $32 today. A monster move, and I didn't trade much today, but this was definitely this would have definitely been a great stock to get into, because there are always moves like this in the market that happen. You just have to know how to read the price action, and you gotta evaluate your risk and see when does it make sense to get in. This is a trade that I was in. I got into Facebook today. Facebook also made a pretty good move. It made a strong move in the morning, but then faded towards the end of the day. And I basically did the same strategy that I mentioned quite a bit, is, take advantage of the early liquidity of the maximized liquidity and the price move in the morning as early as you can, and then get out to avoid the pullback and the chop, because look what it did. It made a really powerful move up here, chopped around, pulled back, and didn't do much for the rest of the day, and then actually pulled back quite a bit towards the end of the day. So it ended up being up $2.87 for the day. But in the morning it made a monster move from, you see here, just off this first candle, 267 all the way to 272, and even tested 273. So you see, that's where the bulk of the move was. That's where a lot of the profit can be made here, and it's just price action. See this candle open up. If this candle takes it out, if it has a strong volume and momentum coming in, then you can take that trade. And it's also above this blue line. This is the 200-day moving average, so that's a key level. And if you wanted, you could have waited even to the third candle here. Higher high, higher low, higher high. This is a very strong candle. It's all green. Momentum's up. took out the prior high and the opening candle. So it's, this is a high probability trade. And you saw the action that, the power that it had the prior two candles. So here, most likely profit taking, and then it made another move up. So, this would have gave you confidence either at this high or at this level to stay in the trade until it starts flattening out. And that's exactly what I did. I got out around this section here. Once it stopped moving up and you notice this gap here and started trading, chopping around. So that's the time for me to take profits. And that's exactly what I did. Very happy with this trade. This is pretty textbook price action here. And these are the kind of trades that I look for. Very strong momentum, strong volume, high probability types of trades. And lastly, wanted to look at Adobe. I covered Adobe earlier in the week. And towards the end of last week is when it really made a big move, and we saw some follow through. One thing you got to keep an eye on is, just because a stock moves doesn't mean, and it pauses, doesn't mean it won't continue higher. So we were looking at this key level back at 475 when it was right here and made this big move. And then it moved February 2nd here, closed above that key level with a very strong candle. Here's where it was up significantly. Next day was a red candle, but notice how it's still closed above this half candle body and still above the 50 EMA. And it continued higher. Look, it reached this next level, 496. So this is another key level we're going to look at to see what does it do. Does it chop around, pull back, chop around and break through it and try and test this 505 key level? We'll have to wait and see what happens. But you can see, even though there were, 2 red days here, it still is in an upward trend here. And it could possibly test this key level here to break it for 496 or 505. So something to keep an eye on. And we'll see if it comes around and tests it, consolidates for a while, or if it breaks through. And if it breaks through, then, there may be high odds that it'll test this 505 area. Last one I want to look at is Shop. Shop was up $87 today. Just very, very nice pattern here. We can see a lot of chopping going on from December all the way to the 1st of February. So really nothing going on here. No reason to be in this trade. But then it made a move here. It made a move on the 2nd and then continued higher. And today it just made a monster move. It was up $87. Let's see what that looks like on the 5-minute chart. Same type of deal. We see this is a chart, not a lot going on here prior day towards the end of the day. But then it gapped up here. See, here's where it closed. And then today it gapped up on this candle here. Chopped around for a little bit, stayed above 80 MA. And then once it took out this guy, it just continued higher. Bounced off the 80 MA and then just rode all the way up. So this was also a very powerful move today. You see, look at the volume. Yesterday's volume was high. This took out yesterday's volume. Momentum was going up. It stayed above the 8 EMA and the 3 EMA, for quite some time, and then just rode them all the way up. So this is a high probability trade, and you can see, this is a $1,400 stock. So price action is the same, whether it's going to be, $1,400 stock or whether you're trading Facebook, Microsoft, which closed at 243 today. Price action is the same, and it happens with all charts. As you can see, we're looking at the 5-minute chart, but you can look at the hourly chart, and see what it did, and still play the same kind of price action. This was a strong candle. Next candle that takes it out, and that's where you could have entered and stayed in until it started moving, until it stopped moving up or started to come back, work its way back towards 80 MA. And that's the wrap for today. We can see the futures right now. Ticks are down about 200, but futures are up. The EQ is up 14 points. The NQ is up 61 points. So we'll see what kind of day we have tomorrow. Today was kind of a choppy day, but as you can see from the perfect gain stock scanner, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity here to take advantage of gains. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.